Many African Americans often ask the question, how come we no longer have national leaders like Dr. King and Malcolm X? But they're asking the wrong question. What they should be asking is who benefits most by this fact? The answer is the white establishment does. Whenever an outcome happens amongst the oppressed that is beneficial to the oppressors, it's always an outcome deliberately created by the oppressors. Those black people who do not critically think never notices the true reality of our current plight and condition. Critically think long and hard about the fact that we no longer have black leaders that have reached the pinnacle heights as Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and Malcolm X had done so. Are we really expected to believe that there are no longer among our ranks of over 55 million African Americans one single individual that possessed the ability and qualifications to stand upon a national platform and articulate our cause and our struggle? Of course not. Many African Americans have been misled to believe that black men like Malcolm X and Dr. King were rare anomalies that no longer exist among our ranks. But this is totally untrue. But it's precisely what we've been manipulated to believe. Here's what's actually happening. The government has a historical incentive for not wanting to have another African American reaching the level of influence and prominence reached by Dr. King. They deemed it as being a threat to the U.S. national interest. FBI Director J. Edgar Hoover and his top senior aide, William Sullivan, said that Dr. King had become too influential, therefore too powerful, and they labeled Dr. King as being the most dangerous Negro to the future of the nation. Dr. King was shortly thereafter assassinated. White oppressive forces realized then that it was by providing a national media platform to Dr. King and Malcolm X that their popularity and followers grew. They therefore now prevents the rise of a new black messiah figure by denying a national media platform from those among us that have the potential of becoming a national black leader. And they provide it only to their black puppet leaders. Their black puppet leaders who won't confront the system of white supremacy. This is because those black puppet actually works on behalf of the white establishment, while merely giving the illusion that they're working on behalf of the black population. This fact provides clarity to the words of FBI Director J. Edgar Hoover when he said that the only way that we'll have another black national leader would be only if the government creates one. After stating that the unification of the American Negro is the greatest threat against the nation, Hoover issued a directive to prevent the rise of another black messiah figure who could unify and electrify the militant black national movement. It's clear to see that they've succeeded at meeting that objective. Nowadays, the white establishment literally treats those black people with true revolutionary mindsets like a gardener treats weeds within his garden. A gardener doesn't want weeds spreading through his garden, so he denies it water and fertilizer. Likewise, the white establishment doesn't want the ideology of true black consciousness being spread through their garden of white supremacy, so they now deny it a national media platform. This prevents it from spreading. Today, black leaders are selected and controlled by the ruling white elites. They do so by controlling who they allow to speak before a national media platform. If these black people don't cooperate and do the bidding of the white establishment, they won't be given any airtime within their national media. The white elites found that giving media attention to those black people who speaks truth to power works to the detriment of the white establishment. In reality, there are still many black people among our ranks with the capabilities of Malcolm and Martin. However, these types of black people are no longer given any media attention because the white establishment doesn't want their ideology to spread among the black masses, thus disrupting their system of white supremacy. They falsely justify doing so by labeling the ideology of black liberation as being anti-white militant rhetoric. They claim that the ideology breeds hatred and dissent against the white society. They therefore treat the ideology of black liberation literally as if it was weed within their garden. The true reason it's being done is to preserve the nation's system of white supremacy and to prevent massive unified black protests like what we experienced during the 1960s. There's more. Have you ever noticed that on those televised black summit shows, they always place people like rappers like T.I. and Killer Mike and many others that are underqualified to discuss the plight and condition of black America on those panels? It's actually a suppression tactic that prevents black liberation. White oppressive forces controls who sits upon those televised panels by only financially sponsoring and televising shows with black speakers that they approve of. They even have a list of black people that are banned from being given a national platform within the white-controlled media. They then either invite or approve of the invitations of black entertainers and also self-loathing blacks like Candace Owens to sit and speak upon those televised panels and summits. This limits the dialogue on those shows to merely opinions, but allows for a lively debate, but within a low level spectrum. It's how white oppressive forces ensure that black liberating dialogue remains dumbed down and non-productive. Furthermore, look at the many changes within the African American culture since the 1960s. During the 1960s, millions of African Americans seek black liberation. Nowadays, whenever the words black liberation are mentioned, many black people now often respond by saying, man, I don't want to hear that black liberation crap, while insisting that it's ourselves that are now our worst enemies. Most African Americans no longer yearn for black liberation. Most instead only wants a comfortable position within the system of white supremacy. Also, heroes of the black population used to be men like Dr. King and Malcolm X. Today, those types of heroes have been replaced by athletes and entertainers, which are not actually heroes of the black communities. We used to agree that white oppressive forces were our worst enemies, and we implemented the most successful unified protests in U.S. history. Today, millions of us are now insisting that it's ourselves that are our worst enemies, and we're now more divided than at any previous time in U.S. history. We also used to call ourselves brothers and sisters, and we called our oppressors crackers. Today, millions of us are now calling ourselves by the N-words, and most of us call our oppressors white people. Clearly, we're respecting ourselves lesser and respecting our oppressors much more. Our culture has been fundamentally changed 180 degrees in ways that are against our own interests and instead in ways benefiting the white society. These profound changes within the African American culture are too widespread to be coincidental. They are all by deliberate design. As I've stated earlier, it's always by deliberate design whenever the culture of the oppressed changes in ways benefiting their oppressors. These noted changes within the African American culture are the deliberate result of a deliberate design. Through their monopoly of information that black people receive, white oppressive forces have deployed an ideological subversion system against the black population. Ideological subversion is an offensive psychological warfare tactic that uses disinformation and misinformation to manipulate targeted population to think in ways that are against their own interests and instead in ways serving those who are deploying the ideological subversion system. This ideological subversion system provides white oppressive forces with their most proficient system used for controlling and subjugating black people. For unlike the blatant white racist systems of the past that black people could easily recognize and therefore develop counter strategies against, this ideological subversion system is unknown to most of its black victims. White racism always works best when its black victims no longer recognize how it's being deployed against us. Through this ideological subversion scheme, the system of white supremacy now strives and operates like a well-oiled machine. It provides the white oppressors with a more covert method for controlling and subjugating black people. It allows them to do so without any black resistance. White racist systems have always worked best when its black victims don't understand how it works. It is for this reason why our people must be educated to the truth of our plight and condition in order to liberate ourselves. To prevent us from doing so, they feed so much idiotic information into our community, have us thinking it's a Willie Lynch myth, have us thinking it's that we're not we're the true Americans, we're the true Native Americans. They have so many false ideologies to keep us confused and divided. We must elevate our minds and learn the truth of our plight and condition. It is time to elevate, to liberate. The time of believing in idiotic stuff is over. The truth is the white society deploys an ideological subversion system. It is by design that our people are now more confused than any time before in history. In the past, we agreed that we're from Africa. Today, millions say, we're not from Africa, we're not from Africa. Although millions of us have taken DNA analysis that confirm our African identity. Our oppressors keeps us confused and divided because it prevents us from being able to liberate ourselves. It is time to wake up. The time of believing idiotic things are over. One love and peace.